off your television sets. Turn them off now. Turn them off right now. Turn them off and leave them off. Turn them off right in the middle of the sentence I'm speaking to you now. Turn them off.
Hi guys. You know that SpongeBob episode? I mean that meme where he's holding onto the wall and it's like,
yeah.
That's where I am today. Like
Yep.
I'm in a glass case of emotion. Okay, we're representing today, y'all. These are still available. Let us know if y'all want a shirt because we can make that happen. Joseph, my dear friend. What were your general impressions of Severance episode 9 titled The After Hours?
This was a very heartbreaking episode. And not just one element of it. There was heartbreak throughout the episode. They made sure every time they switched to back and forth from a storyline, it's like, oh, here's another piece of heartbreak for you that's going to make you sad.
You thought that was sad. How about this? I agree. I have been saying that this is a love story, and I think it's very cool that it is, and it's showing us not just Gemma and Mark, but Mark and Devin and Rick and Dylan and his wife and family, Helly and her weird relationship with Jane, which we have to talk about because what is his deal?
What's going on there?
It's very strange. It's some stuff you like don't know. He just really gives off a very creepy vibe. Like
somebody said, I was scrolling Reddit and I wish I would have saved it, but I was scrolling it when I was like tired. And somebody said he looks like he's actively dying.
He's going through the motions every time you see him on screen. More of his body is like shutting down. He seems unwell though. Ronnie's not here again because he's got more important things to do. What could be more important than us, you might ask? Very few things, but this thing is. Thing that he's doing is way more important than us this time.
It's macro data refinement. That's what
it is. I mean, it's what is it, Joe? It's mysterious and important work.
Yes.
You know? That's what it is. He's doing something very mysterious and important. But he mentioned eggs. Mm-hmm. I hadn't really even given it much thought until he said something about it. But they have been kind of prevalent amongst all the stuff. Like, for instance, the egg party.
Mm-hmm.
And watching Helena eat her eggs and then saying, like, I know it may not have meant to be the way it sounded.
No, but there's a purpose for all of this.
Saying to your daughter, I wish you would take them raw, is not in any context.
First of all,
does not sound good.
Nobody should be eating raw eggs. Also, eggs are now a luxury item. I'm not going to be eating raw eggs. Gross. Disgusting. They're like $9. But then to like frame it in that same context of like, you know, the double entendre of it. Also, it's like, and
then right after saying "I'll watch," like it's just too much.
Yeah, he's a freak boy.
He's a freak boy.
He's
a fan. He's a fan.
He was at Diddy parties.
He probably sponsored them. It's just not. It gave me the ick on a protection level, on a what is he talking about level. It's just. And then the blank expression and the look of disgust almost as she was eating them. Did you mention she was purposefully avoiding the yolk?
The yolk, yeah.
Yeah, that was weird because I was like, well, maybe that's the thing until he said, I wish you take them raw because if she had raw eggs, then she would be, I don't know. Let's just move on because
that's disgusting.
Weird. Let's talk about Eustace because her name, of course, would be Eustace. All the names, Eustace fits her perfectly. Miss Wong. I've of course been like battling my feelings for her because she's a child, right? Like there's a weird feeling within yourself when you dislike children because they're children. I will say though, like some children are unlikable. It is a thing. It's true. It sucks, but it's true. I think my most most of my dislike for her, though, came for my weird way of wanting to protect Milchick. I don't know why I want to, but I do. I shouldn't want to because he's Lumen just like the rest of them, but I don't know.
It's a weird thing, and maybe we can go ahead and hit on this because it's the same thing like when we see him telling off Drummond at near the end of the episode. He's like, what did he say?
Devour feculence.
Devour, that's what it was. Devour feculence.
Devour feculence.
And it's like, during the course of this episode, you're like kind of mad at him for making Miss Wong destroy the only little like joy she has in that place. Destroy that toy. That is your sacrifice to moving to take the bed out of your parents' home and get out of here.
Yeah.
And then you feel bad for him when Drummond is like, apologize. And he's like, no, again, like he's going to make him like, and I'd like to hear, I have my thoughts on it, but as somebody who is white, I don't think that my thoughts resonate as much because like, I feel like this happens to Black people and minorities in the workplace, where if you start using bigger words and a greater vocabulary than somebody that you report to, they're going to try to make you dumb it down and see you as a threat.
You're trying to show out. You got too much dip on your chip. You need to relax. Like, you don't have to show out. And I truly believe that this isn't him showing out. That's just how he speaks.
That's just how he talks.
Why he chooses these words. He's a fancy dude. Like, that's just what he is. And there are people who have these extensive vocabularies, and who are we to tell them that they're doing too much? Like, I mean, that's, you step your vocab up. You know what the boy tell you? Read a book. You illiterate son of a bitch.
But the crazy thing is, like, somebody pointed this out in Reddit too, that like when they're doing Milchick's review, Drummond is using big words to say stop using big words, you know, and it's almost like everybody else can, but like you're not here, you're not with us.
You're not, like, come down, Lord, chill out. And let's get to, I'm glad you said the whole, like, with the minorities, because when he did stand up to Drummond, it felt like the ancestors really stirred something in him and was like, hey, you're free. You don't have to do this. Like, you're making a choice. Yes, this is your employer, and yes, you could potentially get fired, but that is leaps and bounds less than what we had to do. You don't have to do this. You can stand up for yourself. And I liked mostly that not only did he stand up for himself, he did it in a way that was like, I'm not even trying to like son you. I'm just telling you, not only are you doing too much, this is your fault. Like, you are the reason.
That was when I was like, yeah, talk your shit, Milkshake, because I was just like, he flipped it back, because truly he only has control technically of the severed floor and the severed employees. It's not his fault if an employee doesn't show up.
Like, and that's the best part. I'm glad you said the severed employees, because he knows them outside of work, right? Of course, he knows Mark Scout and Dylan. He knows them, but he's intimate. He has a relationship with the innies. So it's almost like, hey, I don't know them folks. That's you. You take care of your people. And while my people are here, they will do what I tell them to do. But once they leave and y'all snap them back out, I can't do anything about that. I want to go back, though, because I think this all relates. Go back to Dylan. Because I think this is kind of, in my opinion, this is kind of where it starts. Well, it starts with the toy, like you said, with Milchick making her destroy the toy. And it was particularly cruel because, like you said, this was the one thing she had. She had one small, insignificant little thing that she used to almost escape back to childhood. You have her in a setting where she is a superior to these adults. And she has to maintain this air of superiority all day to get their respect because she's a child, so doubly. And then she can't be a little girl. And then the thing that she has, the one thing that that brings her joy, you not only take it from her, but you make her destroy it, and then not only hit it once, but again and again. So I want to go to Dylan and Gretchen. Let's go to actual Dylan and
Yeah.
Gretchen the outie. We said last week that the weird thing about them and the Severance and the meetings with the NE was that she was honest up until she got to the point where she was getting close to Dylan G. And then she didn't tell her husband the truth because she wanted it for herself. Do you think she should have told him about it? Because I'm kind of on the fence. I understand completely why she told him, like, this is my husband. I need to be honest with my husband. But of course, it's strange because it's you, right?
I feel like
it's not you.
Yeah, and I feel like the guilt was eating her, because I feel like if you do something, no matter what the level of stupidity it is, of like in a relationship where it's like the lie, like you end up lying about it, I feel like at some point you do start feeling guilty about that, and then you want to come clean. And I feel like she was like, no, I'm gonna keep this for myself, and then started to realize, yeah, I don't know about that, because that's a different person.
So the weird thing I get from it is, because I'm with you. When you do something to hurt somebody else, it does eat at you.
Yep.
But I feel like that's your cross to bear, right?
Yep.
Like if you go out and you do something stupid and you don't get caught, your conscience, your fear of being found out is really what eats at you. Now, some people are truly remorseful. I'm not saying that everybody that cheats did it because they wanted to. Well, you did it because you wanted to, but like I do think that some people really do feel remorse.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think that you should eat it because, again, it's because you are bothered by it. If your significant other doesn't know and you're okay, you know you're not going to do it again, you just have to deal with the fact that maybe one day they'll find out, right? Unless, again, you're just one of those people that's just like, look, I wanted to tell you because I wanted to be honest. It's not about me. It's, I want you to know, because this crazy lady might walk up to you one day and be like, so Barbara, I'm Shirley, you know? And I want Gretchen to be a good person because, again, she has that personality that I'm attracted to. She's very calm. She looks like she's listening. She's patient, but that doesn't make her a quote good person. No. And I'm wondering if she told her husband to make him jealous. And that's what it feels like. It's like she was like, well, I kissed your innie, and, you know, it reminded me of how we were. And the reason I say that mostly was because when she was like, well, he said, what a mistake. And she was like, well,
no, not really.
I wasn't going to say that. Like, it wasn't a mistake at all. But it's almost like she wants that back, which I don't fault her for. But it goes back to, we were going to body autonomy again, because Dylan's like, well, you know, we'll go back and use my body to F and cheat on me. And I get it.
Yeah.
And it is a weird thing because, of course, we're like, well, Dylan, it's you, though. Like, it's still you. But they're not. They're like separate people.
And that's the thing, is like, we have to decide, like, are they the same person or are they different people? Mm-hmm. Because we still don't, I mean, how much of the conscious mind bleeds over into the innie, you know? So then we're kind of sitting there and it's like, are we splitting hairs now, or are these actually different people? And when you see later, when Gretchen goes to Lumen to break it off with Innie Dylan, they are two different people.
They are two different people.
Yep.
Really, they are. And you start to see the similarities, I guess, but it seems like, to me, most of the time when you see the similarities in the innie and the outie is when they're under stress or when they're angry. Like they all have the same reaction to anger. Mm-hmm. Jump to Helly right quick. When she went to Milchick's office asking about Mark and she wasn't getting the answer she wanted, Helena slipped out. Yep. And I hadn't seen that before in Helly, but I saw it because she's like, don't you mean Helly E? And I'm like, wait a minute, back up. Like, you can, again, I admit and I acknowledge that I'm protective of Milchick. It might be a black man thing. It might be. I'm just being honest. It could be. But I am already like looking at people when they get too testy with him until he starts wilding. Because sometimes he's, you know,
well,
he does too much.
And that also makes sense because he's outside of Natalie, he's the primary only black character that you see in the show.
That's it. And, you know, and Dylan, but he's the only one in in management, I guess.
Yeah.
So when she walked up and was like, "Don't you mean Helly E?" It was a challenge and a like stick my chest out the same way Helena would, and I hadn't seen that in her. So I'm like, well, okay, so they kind of are. So, I mean, again, like you said, we are splitting hairs because it's something we've never had to do before. Because even with identical twins, they're still two different people, right?
Yep.
But you're still another person.
That's actually a great way of looking at it, is identical twins.
Mm-hmm.
I
That's kind of what it
never
is.
even thought about that until you mentioned that.
Yeah, and with this, if we start to look at them like as if they are twins, I think it would be easier for us to split them. Like, okay, well, this is her sister, this is his brother, and it will be easier for us to kind of get or grasp some sort of sense behind it. I think all of that possibly makes Milchick start to think about what's really going on, because at every turn he's challenged, right, in some way. And there comes a point, even with me, where you work for somebody and you realize you're becoming a company man or a company woman, and you're like, wait a minute, if something happens to me today, this company will go on.
Yep.
And I had a moment like that because I had a person in our group pass away. And that same day, they were already like, okay, we'll call this person for these things. And it's like, on a level, you get it, the company has to keep moving. But, I'm like, well, I haven't even processed the news yet. You just told me this person that I worked with every day has died. And you expect me to just
keep going,
push past it. We didn't have a moment of silence. We didn't do anything. And you're like, okay, well, now all the projects that they were working on, this is who you report to now. I couldn't care less who to report to in that moment.
Nope.
I hadn't even wrapped my mind around the fact that this person was no longer with us. And that's kind of how I think Milchick is starting to see, as easily as they replaced Harmony, because they just kicked her to the curb. I think I hope now he's starting to see, you know what, that could happen to me too.
Well, and I think that's a good transition into like the whole thing of like, oh, why is Mark not here? You said that this would be done today, all that stuff. Because when Mark is actually calling Milchick to call in, like he starts asking, he's just like, no, like he was gonna tell him a line. He's just like, no, I just needed the day. Like, Mr. Milchick, don't you just sometimes need a day? And you could see Milchick processing that as he's saying it, like, just like this, they don't care about me.
Do you think, because while watching it, we were kind of looking at Milchick. We, my husband and I, were looking at Milchick and we're like, he looks like he wants to say something, but he doesn't say it. And he was like, well, can I just have can I have the day? And he's like, do you promise to come tomorrow? He's like, yes. But Milchick has this look on his face that's just kind of like, I mean, if you do or you don't. You saying that they promised it today, I'm wondering if Milchick is almost like okay with the delay. Because the longer it takes for Mark to finish, the longer he's still the manager of the 7th floor. Because what happens when it's over? Does Milchick even know? I wonder.
Probably not.
I'm thinking the only people that really know what's going to happen with Cold Harbor are tried and true Lumen.
Yep.
And I'm pretty certain Milchick wasn't. Like, I don't think he went to school and all that stuff.
I would say it's like that VP executive level. Those are the only people that are going to know. They're going to come and kick his ass out or, something once it's finished.
Yeah, I mean, he might just be on the same as with Gemma, because Harmony mentioned that if Cold Harbor is done, then Gemma's already dead, which freaked me out. Let's talk about her. Let's talk about Harmony, because you and I think, have been most vocal about Devin calling her. Why? Why would you call it? Why? And though I still feel that it's odd and I don't understand the choice, if this works out, then great. Because I have been wondering the whole time, why is she so thirsty about this, this birthday suite? Why are you trying to get back so badly? Like, that lady was not that cute. I mean, she was pretty, but like, relax, Devin, you got a husband. But I see now she was really just trying to get to the place to activate Mark's switch or his chip. so she can talk to the innie, which makes sense. I get it. Like that's I'm with that. But I still don't understand trusting Harmony at all. But she said she didn't have a choice. Maybe that's where she is. Maybe.
I mean, what do? You go back to Ragabi, who now they know is not qualified to do this stuff.
No, you don't go back to Ragabi, but why go to her? I think maybe she does feel some sort of attachment because she did care for her daughter all that time. Maybe. Like she still, because I think when she called her Mrs. Selvig. Yeah. I think she said Mrs. Selvig. And I'm like, that's not Mrs. Selvig. There is no Mrs. Selvig. There is no Kaiser Soze. Like, there is no Mrs. Selvig. She doesn't exist. They made her up. This is Harmony Cobell. That's who you're talking to. And I think Devon's was having a hard time remembering that. She wanted Mrs. Selvig because she thought this was somebody she could trust. And I'm still not sure they can trust her. Because those flames in the background while she was standing up against that fire, I didn't.
Well, and remember when we got that episode with Bert and Irving and Bert's partner, and they positioned the flames behind Bert, and then because we need to talk about Bert and Irving this episode.
Let's talk about Bert and Irving, because since she brought him up in the flames, Irving goes home and his good boy is sitting there staring at somebody. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't have a dog, but I knew that somebody was in the house. Yep. I knew, because that's what they do. They are very good boys. So the dog is staring, or girl, I don't know what the dog's name is even. But the dog's staring, and he looks at Irvin like, hey, you know who this? You know him? You know what? And there was this, I guess, look of surprise on Irvin's face, but like not necessarily a whole lot of shock. Almost like, I didn't know you were going to be here, but I'm not really that surprised you're here.
Yeah, like he knew it was coming at some point.
Yeah. Now, again, Christopher Walken's face is already mischievous, right? Like, yes. He's just got the look. So I don't know if that is an acting choice or if that's just his face.
I think that's just his face. I think that is just like, because like I went back and I watched a movie that he was in called The Prophecy from like 1985 or something like that. And he's a lot younger in that, but that's just what his face looks like.
He just looks that way. So Irving's talking to him, and not Irving. Bert is reading Irving's, I'm assuming, like private notes or journal or observations, and he's saying that he has properly surmised that he is a Lumen enforcer or goon. Yep. We don't use that language. We don't say goon.
We don't say goon.
What is a goon? I'm saying I am something, but I'm not a goon. And Irving's like, oh, no. Now I know that's not the truth. My first thought was, is it not true?
I think that was definitely him trying to lie and say, no, like, now that I know you, like,
oh no, this was before I knew. No, nah. And it was, I'm sure, a fight or flight response, because he's thinking, how can I get out of this? Because this man's in my house. And if somebody's bold enough to come into your house, that means they
can kill you.
Yeah, let's do it. Like, I'm here, so what are you going to do? So you have to decide, am I going to kill him? Or am I just going to try to talk myself out of it so it doesn't have to go there? He insisted on taking this ride, and Irvin's kind of like, do I have to? I don't want to go. Bert's like, yeah, you do. Let's go.
Yeah,
and that was the end of it. Like, it was just like, I'm going to go. There was almost like a sweet surrender for Irving that, I guess, kind of like an acceptance, almost like if it has to be done, then it's okay that it's you. Yeah. Which is, it just makes me think about this whole idea of love and attraction, because they don't remember, the Audis don't remember the relationship they had on the inside, but there's something very precious about the way they interact with each other. The outies even. It's just like these two people know each other. They don't know how, they don't know why, but it's almost like, I guess, family in a way.
It feels a lot like when you can't place somebody, but you feel like you've met them before.
Or even, I'm not sure if you've met, this has happened to you, but like I've met my friends, like their siblings. And because they're so similar, I felt a connection to their sibling.
Yep.
It's almost like that. Like you said, I know you because I kind of know your soul, or I know your core, or I know what you're about, and that attracts me to you on whatever level. Theirs just happens to be romantic also, but I think they really did love each other in there, and because of that, it's still there. Like your soul or your consciousness or subconscious knows.
And that's where we get into this whole severed process. Like, yes, you can split the conscious into all these different, types of consciousness, but you can't split emotions and feelings and whatever you feel like in your heart and your soul. You just cannot split those things because that is a part of you and being a human, and that's a part of your DNA. And because it's split up here doesn't mean it's split here either.
Yeah. It's kind of like that with Mark and Devin too. He's like, he's apprehensive. Like, I don't really, but he it's almost like he knows he can trust her. And that could be fake. Like, you can fake that. You can make somebody think that they know you or love you or whatever else. But I feel like he really does like gravitate towards her because he knows he can feel it. They just the way she reacts to him, it's hard to fake.
And part of it was, I was trying to remember. I was like, oh yeah, that's right. The end of last season, he met Devin in E-Market. So I was like, oh, okay. So he's apprehensive, but it's like, it's more so like, why am I here and why are you here?
I want to ask you something though. With that in mind, I want to talk about Helly and Dylan's talk while they were in the break room after Dylan had his heart broken. We'll go into that right quick. So Dylan decides he's going to propose to his wife, his outie's wife. And I'm wondering, and I wanted to ask you specifically, Joe, do you think Dylan didn't realize he was lonely until he knew that he had a family? Yeah. And he started having those meetings with Gretchen?
Yep. Yeah, I think that definitely dates back to, because like in season 1, we know Dylan as like, he's just an achiever. That's all he's there for, is like, he's got all these finger traps and he got the egg party and like, he's the highest achieving person. And then once Milchick introduces the idea of like, oh, you can meet your family, that's where he's kind of like, what is my purpose down here if I have a family out there?
It also goes back to him asking immediately if he's dumb or if he's a dick. Because it's like he's convinced himself that he has to be dumb and he has to be a dick to want to be severed. Because if your life is great, then why would you not want to be in it all the time? So I think he, in his mind, assumed that his outie was this loser. And once he finds out that's not necessarily the case, he's like, well, why do I exist? And it starts to, like you said, it starts to making him question his purpose. Why am I here? Why am I stuck down here if he has a life? Why, what's the point? And then not only does he have a life, once he meets Gretchen, it's like, and she's cool too. Like, he's got a nice wife. It's not like they're having issues or like she's a bad person. She's a great person. So why, again, would he not want to always be with her and all of these things? And it's heartbreaking, especially when he's like, I know I'm just an innie, but I could give you a life. And I'm thinking, well, but you can't, though. You can't. You're stuck down here. You can't. And that's, to me, only going to give him the desire to no longer be down there, because we see what happened.
Which is funny because like when Dylan and Gretchen have that argument before he goes to work, First of all, that's a very dickhead thing to say. I'm going to go to work and make sure that we get a check. She works too. She just got off of a shift. She's a 911 operator. She has a tougher job than you. Go to work and you don't even realize that you're at work, and then you come back. So you don't take any of this argument with you to work while she's taking this argument with her to work.
She's sitting with it all day.
Yep.
And again, like you said, she's going to work. And so it's not like she's just sitting at the house. She's also contributing to the family and feeding the children.
But I thought it was really cool, kind of a really cool thing. There was two things. Was he said that he's going to go to work, or the first thing he said was like, well, then maybe I'll quit and I'll get rid of him. And then Dylan is the one that's like, all right, I quit.
Yeah.
He didn't give Outie Dylan the choice to do it. He was just like, yeah, I'm going to do it. But the shot of Dylan waiting for the elevator and his head is right there with the Kier sword. Like, I thought that was a really, really cool shot. Like, it was just so good.
Okay, so with that though, because my first thought was, Ennies can quit. They can do that.
Yeah,
what the hell?
I just thought it was going to be like, oh yeah, bullshit, whatever.
I'm thinking though, it's going to be like, the only thing that made me question it was you have to give a request. And when I looked at the form again, it did say request, any resignation request.
Okay.
And I'm thinking it's going to be the same thing as it always is. You want to quit and your Outie says no. Or maybe he grants it. I don't know. Because remember, Helly tried to do it repeatedly.
But Helly is also a different case.
She's different. Yeah, she's much different. But Mark even said it before when Helly was trying to quit. He was like, they almost always get rejected. Like, always. So I don't know if the Outie Dylan is a dick. We've noticed that he is he is a dick, and he might
all those fresh vegetables in the sink. Like, bro, like if you're like worried about money, why are you doing that?
Just make the smoothie. Like, it's already in the blender. What are you doing? But he's such a dick that he might make him stay. Like, once he realizes that Annie Dylan wants to leave, and Gretchen says, "Hey, broke it off," he might be such a terrible person that's like, well, no, you stay down there and deal with the fact that my wife doesn't want you.
Yep.
Which is crazy because you're still it's your brother. It's your twin brother. Yeah. Well, I don't know. But with that, when Dylan put in the request and Miss Wong was saying, I'm sorry that I didn't facilitate better, he said, it's not your fault. And I'm wondering, that's what I was saying, I think, was that the catalyst for Milchick? Because right after that, he goes to, we see right after that, he goes to Drummond. And Drummond says, this is your fault.
Yep.
And he's like, well, you know what? It's not my fault. And it's almost like he hadn't even considered that it was possible that these things weren't his fault until Dylan gave, Miss Wong permission to, he kind of let her off the hook. It's like, it's not your fault because it's not her fault. It wasn't. No. In that situation, if anything, it would have been Milchick's fault.
Yep. And
then, Drummond, it goes up, it keeps going up the ladder. And I'm like, you can't, Dylan's kind of like I said, the catalyst for this whole thing. And I hope Milchick sticks with it and realizes that this is not what it appears to be, I guess. Or maybe it is exactly what it appears to be. I don't know. Like, these people are just using me for Cold Harbor, and then the whole world's gonna implode.
Mm. It's funny, though, one thing that, they're so upset about in this episode is, Cold Harbor not being finished. Oh, you said it'd be done today, all this kind of stuff. But it's deadlines mean nothing. You know how many times I've had to push something back in my job because, this thing isn't done, so I guess we got to push this back. It's just that happens.
And the world kept spinning, didn't it? It just kept going. And the project got done when it got done.
Exactly.
Because that's it. I can't, it's either done or it's not. I can't, that's where we are. I wonder now what this is going to do for Drummond, hearing that this is his fault. What's that going to be? What's his mode going to be, or his mood going to be henceforth? Before you go into that, so Miss Wong, I think this was the first time I noticed her show real emotion.
Yeah.
She looked borderline terrified when he told her she was leaving to go to that. It's the fellowship, right? So she's going to the school or whatnot. And this is, in fact, they've made it clear. This is the same thing Cobell did because she got that same head. And, you know, she's going to the winter tide or whatever it is. That's where she's going. She looked terrified. Like, she really did look like, oh no, I thought I would be able to be here longer. I didn't know it was now.
He cut it off early too. Like, they cut it early. He said, yeah, your fellowship's over. This is over. You're going over there. Like, that's it.
Yeah, you're no longer a little girl. Get your stuff and
the only other time I saw her show any type of emotion was playing that game. And that's what made that heartbreaking with her destroying that. That was the only little joy we saw from her over 9 episodes.
She's still a little girl. Like, that's the thing I think we have to keep remembering. She's a child. And they just act like she's not. I don't know. It's weird.
They did a damn good job of setting that up as like a child, because you're not supposed to hate kids, but like there's a part of you that's just like, what are you doing here? Why
she got bad vibes. That's what it is. She got bad vibes. You know, have you ever considered that Miss Wong has bad vibes? That's what it is. Now, Mart and Devin and Cobell and Miss Wong. I mean, not Miss Wong, and Gemma. Does Mart go to work tomorrow?
I think so.
And does what? Like, what do we do? Like, is it... Because obviously we can't complete Cold Harbor. I mean, I guess we can, but if we do, then what happens? I'm hoping Harmony's going to tell him something.
Yeah.
I still don't trust her, though. Like, that's the weird thing. I don't know what is going to happen. And I guess it's a good thing. Like, it keeps you guessing. You gotta go in there. But she's definitely feeling away, Harmony.
Yeah.
Because she's feeling that they've stolen her, you know, her ideas and her and all of this. And then not only did they do that, they kind of like ice her out in the process. So she might have some sort of real animosity, but I wonder how much it's going to hold if they do the right thing by her. They being Lumen or Kier, not Lumen, Kier. I guess they're one and the same, right?
I don't know. I'm torn on that because I honestly don't think we're going to get a resolution to that part of Severance until next season. I think we're going to get some sort of cliffhanger for it going into season 3. I think that they're going to be more focused on trying to wrap up the Mark Gemma thing. And because maybe there is some sort of deal she makes with Lumen.
Harmony?
Yeah.
Okay. If she does, I'm still like stuck on that the doctor, actor, whatever he is, that's obsessed with Gemma.
Yeah.
Like, he's freaking me out. And maybe he'll have some part in it, because it's almost like he's so attached to Gemma, he may blow it all up because he doesn't want her to die. So maybe he'll do something weird.
Yeah, because he was being creepy and watching her again.
It's just so weird. He's so odd. It's a very odd man. He is. It's very odd. I don't know. To wrap this up, what is James talking about when he tells Helly, "You tricked me"? What do you think that's about?
I think that's hard, because I don't know if he knows he's speaking to any Helly.
I think so. He has to, right? Like, he's on the severed floor, so I'm assuming he knows that it's her, that it's Helly. And I think he says, "My Helly, you tricked me, my Helly." And the only time they've interacted was at the gala, right? When he thought he was talking to her.
Yeah.
Well, we thought he was talking to his daughter, and it was actually her. So is that what he meant?
It's got to be about that, because that's the last time that they interacted.
Why is he talking to her now?
I don't know.
What's he
doing?
He's
a creep.
He is.
He is a very creepy man, and I'm sorry to this actor that plays him, because that is phenomenal acting to make me say, you are a creep every time you appear on the screen.
Sorry to this man, but you are creepy. Your whole face, your whole everything, your essence is creepy. It is, though, for real. It's
very unsettling
weird.
When he's on stage.
That is a very good word for it. It's unsettling. I think to end it all, to wrap this one up, the most impactful parts of these episodes, even though it was, sorry y'all, even though it was a lot. I guess my main one was Irving, only because that scene when they were like having the back and forth and Irving kept saying he was ready, it just like, it was
That
crushing.
broke me. Like that broke me so hard when I saw that.
Why am I crying in the club? Right? What is happening? Because it was a very, and I don't want to say desperate because that cheapens it. It was a very sincere attempt to say, hey, my heart desires what I know I can have with you. Yep. I don't know what it's like, but I have a feeling that I would like it and I've wanted it and I know I can have it with you because I just don't remember it. It's almost like a mirror to Helly wanting to experience having sex with Mark. Mm-hmm. And she's like, I don't want her memories, I want my own. And that's what Irving wants. Irving desperately wants to be loved fully and truly. Yep. And he knows he was. Like, I think that's the part that's like, that touches me the most, because even if he doesn't remember it, he knows that it was true. Yep. Right? Like, he can just feel it. I don't know if it was when they had the dinner or what, I don't know, but he just knows that if given the opportunity, the same love that he had with him on the inside, he can have it on the outside too.
And that's where it comes back to, you can sever this, but you can't sever this.
Mm-hmm. And Bert is almost the same, but I will say the I can't part on Bert's behalf I think it was 100% about Fields. Yeah. Because yes, I had this feeling, but he's still like, hey, Fields that's my love. Yep. My Audi love. And though I have this weird attraction to you, and I may even love you too, because you can love more than one person. Mm-hmm. His Audi soul is tied to Fields. And I think he wants it to be, right? Like the whole point of him going in there at all was just so that him and Fields could in some way be together forever. Yep. So you can't cheapen that because him and Irvin have something too. But it's like, we got to see what they had. We didn't see him and Fields. So we know they love each other because they told us, but we got to see him and the two of them, Bert and Irvin. And it's just like, oh, it was just like, it was cute. It was adorable. It was like clean almost, like there was nothing perverse about it. It was just like, this is love before even the desire came. Because I'm sure y'all want each other, but it was like, y'all want to be around each other. Yeah. Right? So the fact that they can't have that is hurtful. And I'm wondering, is Irvin going to stay away? Or is he coming back? You think he's coming back?
He's coming back. Like, there's no way they continue the show without him.
They better not. Joe better not. Bring my man's back.
Because look, as it stands, Irving's gone. Dylan quit. So, I mean... Eustace, she's gone. Helly doesn't even she's there working, but Mark is the only one that's like, I really enjoy that this season they haven't really showed a whole lot of work. They're just like, yeah, Cold Harbor has made progress this season, and it's like, and then you see them just like walking around the halls doing bullshit on the whole episode.
All day. 96%. Like, this is a procrastinator's dream. I could get this done in 25 minutes. But I could also walk around and try to find these goat people. Like, I could just do something else.
I gotta go find that elevator. Where's it at?
But it's truly like how people procrastinate. Because it's like, I'm going to get to 99%. And then I'm just going to do some other stuff. Because I know all I got to do is take this last 10 minutes and fit it in. I can do it in 10 minutes. It's not a big deal. Yep. So people are like, well, won't you just do it? Like, no. I could be doing something else. It's fine. It's only 10 minutes left. It's fine. It's fine. It's okay. It's okay. Even if I can't do it, anybody could do this last 10 minutes. Yeah. It's fine. And that's kind of where Mark is. He's just kind of like, yeah, I don't know. Maybe it gets done. Maybe it doesn't. I'm trying to reintegrate. I got other things to do. Does Ragabi come back, or are we done with her for the season?
We're done with her for the season.
Yeah, I think we have to be, because where would she fit?
So, yeah, now that they have Cobell, who we know created the Severance process, like, I don't think there's a real need for her anymore as a character for this season. I mean, there's probably some sort of like stuff for season 3, because I think she is a part of like the resistance of the severed lumen anti stuff. So that'll be curious to see how she plays in like season 3.
Well, as a penultimate episode goes, this is what you would expect. I loved it.
Yeah.
I'm excited about tomorrow. I mean, not tomorrow.
I
For March.
wish.
But next week. And I hope it goes out with a bang. We waited long enough. Like, we deserve.
I've heard, this episode is over an hour, and I think it's rated mature because in some other countries, I think it's hit like their version of mature, because I think for violence. So
that's violence.
We're going to get some good stuff this last episode.
So we're going to burn it all down like Irvin said.
Yep.
Let's do it. Okay. Well, we'll see. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Ronnie will be back next season. Like, we're just calling it. He'll be back next season. It's fine. We'll be all right without him. I know y'all miss him, but, it is what it is.
His Audi's doing stuff, so.
Accept us because we're here. Thank you, though, for watching, listening. Please subscribe, comment, let us know how we can improve. Maybe we'll listen. Oh, no. But we'll be here next week. So until then, we'll give you the millennial peace sign. Peace.